I never thought my marriage would end up like this. You always hear stories about infidelity, about betrayal, and you think, that could never happen to me. Yet here I am, sitting in my living room staring at the bags my wife, Ashley, packed for her so-called business trip. It's hard to breathe, and it's even harder to process that today, on what should have been my birthday, she forgot to say a single word about it. Instead, she remembered to pack a sexy set of lingerie. We had been married for 5 years, and while every relationship has its ups and downs, things took a drastic turn recently. What started as a little distance and busy schedules morphed into a chasm that felt impossible to bridge. Ashley, always the golden child, was climbing the corporate ladder at a marketing firm, and I found myself in the shadows, a loyal husband who supported her ambitions. But it wasn't just that. I started noticing changes in her behavior. Little things like her being glued to her phone, or the way she'd suddenly need to work late or go out with the girls more often. I brushed it off as work stress. After all, she was putting in long hours and I admired her for it. Then came the day before my birthday. I had planned a small surprise at home. We hadn't had a date night in ages and I thought it would be nice to reconnect. I cooked her favorite meal, set the table with candles, and even bought her a thoughtful gift. I wanted to show her how much I cared. But when she came home, she was distracted and barely touched her food. Instead, she sat scrolling through her phone, giggling at texts I couldn't see. I felt a knot tightening in my stomach, but I pushed my feelings aside, attributing it to her stress. The next morning, my birthday, I woke up excited. I set an alarm to prepare breakfast for her, hoping to surprise her with pancakes. I opened the fridge, only to notice a bag sitting on the counter that I hadn't seen before. It was one of her travel bags, slightly unzipped, revealing what looked like a lace bra peeking out. I was taken aback. Why would she pack this for a business trip? My heart raced as I felt a mix of confusion and dread. I fought the urge to reach in and pull it out. Maybe it was just a mistake. I decided to confront her about it. I waited for her to wake up, my palms sweaty and my heart pounding with anxiety. When she finally emerged from the bedroom, her hair tousled and her eyes still heavy with sleep, I tried to act normal, but I couldn't. I asked, "So, you're going on this business trip, huh? Packing for work?" My voice was shaky and I hated how vulnerable I felt. She smiled, a glimmer of that charming allure that had captured me years ago, and said, "Oh, come on. Everyone packs lingerie for business trips. It's just a little something extra, you know." She laughed it off, but I could see a flicker of tension in her eyes. Something didn't feel right. As I stood there, the gravity of the moment crashed down on me. I needed answers. "Ashley, I found your bag on the counter. It just doesn't make sense. You never told me about any business trip." I pushed, trying to keep my voice steady while my chest felt like it was about to explode. She faltered for a moment and I could see her scrambling for a response. "Oh, that. I forgot to mention, it's last minute, just a quick trip to New York for a meeting." The way she said quick seemed rehearsed, almost as if she was trying to convince herself more than me. My heart sank. The distance between us felt insurmountable now. At that moment, I didn't just feel betrayed, I felt foolish. I had trusted her, believed in what we had built together. I couldn't ignore the gnawing suspicion that had taken root in the back of my mind. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for what I sensed was coming. "Ashley, are you cheating on me?" The question hung in the air like a thunderstorm about to break. Her eyes widened and I could see her heartbeat quicken. The silence stretched between us, heavy and suffocating. She opened her mouth to respond, but no words came out. The realization of her infidelity struck me like a punch to the gut. I was desperate to get to the truth, but I also feared what I might find. I felt my world begin to tilt on its axis. Did I really want to know? What if I was right? What if the woman I loved was no longer the person I thought she was? I braced myself for the storm that was about to come, knowing that everything I had believed was about to shatter. The silence hung heavy in the air, each passing second amplifying the tension between us. Ashley looked like a deer caught in headlights, and for a brief moment I thought she might just come clean. But instead she took a step back, the color draining from her face, and her voice trembled as she stammered, "What do you mean, cheating? That's a serious accusation, Mark." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. The anger bubbled up inside me, hot and fierce. You think I'm just going to sit here and let you lie to my face? I found your lingerie and it's not for some innocent business meeting. Don't play dumb with me, Ashley. My heart raced. I felt a mix of rage and sorrow, like I was fighting against a wave that threatened to drown me. She crossed her arms defensively, her expression shifting from shock to irritation. I can't believe you're accusing me of this. You know how hard I've been working. You're just being paranoid. There it was, the classic deflection. Instead of addressing my concerns, she twisted the knife deeper, making it sound like I was the one with the problem. Paranoid. You think I'm paranoid for questioning why my wife is packing sexy lingerie for a supposed work trip? I was shouting now, unable to contain the flood of emotions I felt surging through me. You've been distant for weeks, Ashley. This isn't just in my head. She rolled her eyes, a gesture that stung worse than any harsh word. You're overreacting. You know how stressful my job is. I just need time away to focus. Her voice oozed with irritation, as if my feelings were an inconvenience to her busy schedule. I stood there, dumbfounded, reeling from the realization that the woman I loved had become someone I barely recognized. Every moment felt like a betrayal stabbing deeper into my heart. I couldn't help but think of our years together, our shared dreams, the laughter, the intimacy. Now it felt like all of that was hanging by a thread, unraveling. Right in front of my eyes. I had put so much faith in us and she was ready to toss it aside for what? A fling, a momentary distraction. I felt like a fool for believing in her. Just admit it. I shouted, my voice cracking with emotion. Are you seeing someone else? Because it feels like there's someone else in our marriage, Ashley. I was desperate for the truth, but I also feared it. I wanted the ground to swallow me whole, to escape the painful reality that was unfolding. She hesitated for a moment and I could see the wheels turning in her mind. Finally, she huffed, "You're being ridiculous. I'm not cheating on you. I would never." But the look in her eyes told me otherwise. There was a flicker of something, guilt, embarrassment. I couldn't quite place it, but I felt it like a dagger twisting in my gut. I took a step closer, feeling a rush of adrenaline. If you're not cheating, then why do I feel like I'm losing you? Why do you keep shutting me out? Just tell me the truth. I wasn't sure if I wanted to scream or cry, but I needed her to see the pain she was causing. For a moment she didn't respond, and I could see the wall she had built around herself crack ever so slightly. "I swear I'm not cheating," she said, her voice softening a bit, but the sincerity was missing. I don't know how to cope with everything right now. My job is overwhelming and I don't want to burden you." "Burden me? Ashley, we're married. We're supposed to share everything." The frustration boiled over and I felt the tears welling up in my eyes. "You're shutting me out, making excuses, and now this. You're making me feel guilty for trying to manage my life." She shot back, her frustration bubbling to the surface. "I have to be successful at work. I can't just give up everything for you." Her words cut deeper than any knife. It felt like I was being thrown aside, a mere afterthought to her ambitions. "I'm not asking you to give up your career," I managed to say, my voice trembling. "I'm asking you to be honest with me." We stood there, the air thick with tension and unspoken words. My head was spinning. I thought I knew Ashley, yet here she was, defending herself instead of valuing our marriage. That's when I realized I'd hit a wall. The woman I loved was slipping away, and I was left grappling with the anger, confusion, and the sense of betrayal that was festering in my heart. In that moment, everything shifted. I felt a wave of clarity wash over me, pushing aside the shock and anger. I needed to understand what was happening, and I couldn't do it by simply demanding answers. Taking a deep breath, I decided to take a step back. I needed to gather my thoughts to find a way to confront this situation that wouldn't just spiral into chaos. "Let's just take a break," I said finally, the words tasting bitter on my tongue. "I need some time to think, and you should too." Ashley looked taken aback, her expression flickering between annoyance and concern. "You can't be serious. We can't just stop talking." "I think we need to. I need to process what's happening between us," I replied, my voice steadier now. "This isn't just about your trip or some lingerie. There's something bigger at play, and I need to figure out what I want moving forward." As I walked away, I felt a mix of relief and sadness. I didn't know what the future held for us, but I realized that no matter what happened, I had to stand up for myself and my heart. I wouldn't let her deceit consume me. Little did I know that this was only the beginning of a long and painful journey. After that fateful morning, my world felt like it was spiraling out of control. I told Ashley I needed time, but I was still reeling from the confrontation. It felt surreal. I never imagined I would have to question the very foundation of my marriage. I spent the next few days in a haze, floating between anger and despair, trying to wrap my head around everything. I threw myself into work, using it as a distraction from my crumbling relationship. But the truth is, every time I looked at my phone or walked past the bedroom, my thoughts drifted back to Ashley and the question that loomed like a storm cloud above me. Was she really cheating? I couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal, but a part of me still clung to hope that perhaps I had misinterpreted the situation. The day Ashley was supposed to leave for her business trip, I couldn't focus on anything. I felt a mix of dread and anticipation, knowing she would be gone for several days. I braced myself for the worst while simultaneously praying I'd be wrong. But I knew deep down that I had to find out the truth. I decided to do something I never thought I would: snoop. I hated the idea of invading her privacy, but I felt I had no other choice. As soon as she left, I went straight to her laptop and logged in. I felt dirty for doing it, but my instincts screamed that this was necessary. I searched for anything that could lead me to the truth: emails, messages, anything that could confirm or deny my suspicions. Moments felt like hours as I rifled through her files and chats. Most of it was mundane: work-related emails, documents, and random shopping receipts. But then I stumbled upon a message from a contact named Jake. My heart raced as I opened it. The message was innocent enough on the surface, asking about meeting for drinks after work, but something felt off. I dug deeper and found more messages exchanged between them. The tone shifted to flirtation and my stomach dropped. I read through their conversations, my heart pounding in my chest as each heart emoji felt like a dagger. I recalled that name, Jake. He was a coworker of hers, someone she had mentioned in passing. I never thought much of him, but reading their exchanges filled me with an icy dread. The messages went on for weeks, and it was clear they had met up several times. The final nail in the coffin was a message that said, "Can't wait to see you this weekend, just us." That was it. The world around me blurred as I felt the weight of the evidence crash down on me. I had been right all along. My wife was cheating on me with someone I didn't even know belonged in our lives. The betrayal felt like a punch to the gut, and I collapsed into a chair, shaking with a mixture of disbelief and agony. I quickly closed the laptop, panic rising inside me. How was I going to confront Ashley with this? Part of me wanted to throw it in her face and demand answers immediately, but another part of me knew I needed to approach this carefully. I couldn't let my emotions lead me to explode in anger without a plan. That evening, Ashley returned home, her demeanor carefree as she walked in the door. I feigned normality, offering her a smile even though my heart was in turmoil. I couldn't let her know I had found out about Jake. Not yet. I had to gather my thoughts and prepare for the confrontation I knew was coming. "Hey, how was your day?" she asked, seemingly oblivious to the storm brewing beneath the surface. "It was fine," I replied, keeping my voice steady. "I've been busy with a project. How about you? Excited for your trip?" She rolled her eyes playfully, her demeanor relaxed. "Oh, you know how it is. Just a few meetings, but I'll make the most of it. I might have some fun with the team afterward." I forced myself to nod along, my heart pounding. The casualness in her tone only made my blood boil. There was so much I wanted to say, so many questions and accusations swarming in my mind. As the evening wore on, I couldn't shake the feeling of dread. I kept replaying the evidence in my mind, and each time I thought of it, the anger inside me swelled. I knew I had to confront her soon, but I wanted to make sure I was ready. I needed to gather my thoughts and figure out how to approach this without losing control. Finally, after an agonizing night spent in silence, I decided to bring it up. I couldn't postpone the inevitable any longer. We sat in the living room, the air thick with tension, and I turned to her, looking straight into her eyes. "Ashley, we need to talk." Her expression shifted, a flicker of concern flashing across her face. "About what?" I took a deep breath, steadying myself for what was to come. "About us. About what's been going on. I know I said I needed time, but I can't ignore the fact that something isn't right." She furrowed her brow, playing innocent. "What do you mean? Things are fine, aren't they?" "No, they're not," I said, firmly, my voice unwavering. "I saw your messages with Jake. You can't deny it anymore." Her face paled, and for a moment I thought I saw genuine shock. "What, Mark, that's not what you think," she exclaimed, her eyes wide with feigned innocence, but I could see the cracks beginning to show. "Then explain it to me," I demanded, my heart racing as the confrontation escalated. "Tell me how that's not cheating, because from where I'm standing it looks like you're having an affair." I was betting everything on this moment, and I waited for her response, my heart pounding in my chest. I could see the gears turning in her mind, scrambling for a way out. This was going to be the turning point, and I was prepared for whatever came next. The room felt suffocating as Ashley processed my accusation. Her eyes darted around the space, looking for an escape route or perhaps a way to fabricate a convincing story. "Mark, I swear it's not what you think," she finally blurted out, her voice rising an octave. "Jake is just a friend. We've been working closely on a project, and yeah, we joke around a little, but it's harmless." "Harmless?" I shot back, incredulous. "You think sending heart emojis and planning drinks after work is harmless? That's not just a friendly relationship, Ashley. You've crossed a line and you know it." She opened her mouth to respond but stopped short, clearly caught off guard. For a moment I thought she might actually come clean. But then, just like that, her defenses went back up and she leaned into her usual tactics. "This is ridiculous. You're being paranoid and controlling. Just because I didn't tell you every little detail doesn't mean I'm cheating." I shook my head, feeling the anger boil over. "This isn't about every little detail. This is about trust. You've been lying to me and you've been spending time with someone else. That's cheating in my book." Her face flushed with anger and she stood up, pacing the room like a caged animal. "I can't believe you're throwing this in my face. You're acting like I'm some kind of monster. Maybe if you paid more attention to me, I wouldn't have to find companionship elsewhere." I was stunned into silence. The audacity of her words hit me like a slap. "So now it's my fault. You're blaming me for your infidelity. That's your excuse." "It's not an excuse," she shouted back, her voice rising again. "You don't get it. I've been feeling neglected. And yes, Jake is someone who listens to me and gets me excited about work again. What do you want from me?" I felt my heart dropping further into despair. "I want honesty, Ashley. I want the woman I married back, not this person who lies and betrays me." The rage and hurt felt overwhelming, and I could see the walls between us growing higher. She stopped pacing and turned to me, her expression softening just a little. "I never meant to hurt you," she said, her voice quieter now. "But you have to understand how things have been. I feel lost, Mark. I've been under so much pressure at work and I didn't know how to talk to you about it." "Lost?" I repeated incredulously. "You think running to another man is the answer? That's a betrayal of everything we've built together. You should have come to me, not found comfort in someone else's arms." "I didn't mean for it to happen," she replied, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "I thought it was just harmless flirting and then it spiraled. I didn't want to hurt you, I just wanted to feel something again." The shift in her tone caught me off guard. Was she actually acknowledging the pain she caused? It felt like a small glimmer of honesty, but was it enough to believe? The doubt gnawed at me. I looked at her, grappling with a storm of emotions. "If you really didn't want to hurt me, then why did you let it go this far? Why didn't you stop when you realized it was becoming something more?" Ashley shrugged, her shoulders slumping as if the weight of her actions was finally crashing down on her. "I don't know," she admitted. "It was like I was caught in this rush and I didn't know how to pull back. I was drowning in my own stress and Jake made me feel alive again. But I'm still here and I want to fix this." "Fix this?" I echoed, incredulous. "You think it's that simple? You can't just wave a magic wand and make everything okay. Trust is broken, Ashley. I don't know if I can ever look at you the same way again." "I'm willing to do anything," she pleaded, stepping closer to me. "I love you, Mark. I don't want to lose you. I'll go to counseling. I'll do anything to prove that this was a mistake. Just please don't give up on us." Her voice was shaky, and for a moment I felt a flicker of hope, but it quickly faded as the reality of her betrayal pressed in on me. I wanted to believe her, to trust her, but the hurt ran so deep. I had never imagined our love could be tainted by infidelity. I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself. I don't know, Ashley, it's going to take time for me to process this. Trust doesn't just come back overnight. She nodded, tears streaming down her cheeks. I understand. Just give me a chance to show you that I can be better, that I can be the wife you deserve. But even as she spoke, I felt a part of me harden. I wanted to be the strong, understanding husband, but the reality was that I was fighting against a tide of betrayal that threatened to pull me under. I was left to wonder how much of my heart I could afford to give her again. As I sat there, processing our conversation, I realized that I had a decision to make. I could either try to rebuild the shattered pieces of our marriage or walk away from the heartache. But both options carried their own weight, and I had no idea how to choose between them. The night stretched endlessly before us, filled with silence and uncertainty. I felt as if I was standing on a precipice, looking down at the abyss. I had to decide. Could I forgive her and move forward, or was this the end of our story? As the hours passed, one thing became clear. The journey ahead wouldn't be easy. I had to find strength within myself to navigate the heartbreak and decide what was best for my future. But first, I needed time to heal, to reflect, and to assess who I was without her in my life. And that would be the hardest journey of all. The days that followed the confrontation felt like an emotional roller coaster, and I was strapped in for the ride whether I wanted to be or not. Ashley and I fell into an uncomfortable truce, tiptoeing around each other as if we were both walking on eggshells. I tried hard to process everything that had happened, but my mind was a chaotic mess of anger, sadness, and confusion. I spent hours replaying the conversation over and over, examining every word, every look, hoping to find clarity in the turmoil. Ashley attempted to reach out, to talk, to show that she was committed to making things right, but all I could feel was the weight of her betrayal bearing down on me. It was hard to see her as the woman I once loved when all I could think about was the hurt she'd caused. I confided in my close friend, Tom, who had always been a sounding board for my troubles. "Dude, this is some serious stuff," he said, leaning back in his chair, concern etched on his face. "You've got to decide if you see a future with her. If you don't, you need to walk away. It's going to eat you alive otherwise." His words resonated with me, but the decision felt monumental. I didn't want to throw away 5 years of marriage, but could I really rebuild what had been shattered? I wrestled with the idea of forgiveness, replaying the moments we shared, the life we built together. But the image of Ashley with Jake loomed large, casting a shadow over everything. Eventually, I decided to confront her again. I needed to know if she truly understood the gravity of her actions. "Ashley, we need to talk," I said one evening, my heart racing as I braced myself for another difficult conversation. "About what?" she asked, trying to sound casual, but I could see the tension in her posture. "About us and what you're willing to do to fix this." I took a deep breath, bracing myself for her reaction. "You say you want to make things right, but I need to see real change. I can't just pretend like everything's okay." Her expression shifted, and I could see a flicker of determination in her eyes. "I'm ready to do whatever it takes, Mark. I promise. Just tell me what you need from me." "First, I want you to cut all contact with Jake," I said, my voice steady. "I don't want to hear any excuses. If you really want to save this marriage, that's the first step." She hesitated, her brows furrowing. "But he's just a coworker. I can't just cut him out of my life completely. We work together." "Then you need to find a way to make it clear that you're committed to me. You can't have one foot in our relationship and another in a flirtation. It's either him or me, Ashley." She opened her mouth as if to protest, but then closed it again, her expression changing as she considered my words. "You're right. I'll do it," she finally said, her voice softening. "I don't want to lose you." The conversation felt raw, and I could sense the weight of her promise hanging in the air, but I also knew that words were easy. Actions were what mattered most now. "I need you to show me that you're committed to working through this. I want us to go to couples therapy together. I think it will help us understand each other better and work on rebuilding our trust." Ashley nodded, tears glistening in her eyes. "I'll do it. I'll agree to anything if it means we can get back to where we were." Her willingness to try gave me a glimmer of hope, but I knew it wouldn't be enough. I needed to see her follow through on her promises, to prove that she was serious about rebuilding our relationship. In the weeks that followed, we began attending therapy sessions together. It was a struggle at first. Every session felt like peeling back layers of hurt and betrayal, exposing raw wounds that hadn't yet healed. But with each session, we found a way to communicate more openly. Slowly, I started to see glimpses of the woman I fell in love with, buried beneath the mistakes and lies. Ashley began to make real changes in her life. She cut off contact with Jake and started focusing on her work without involving him. It was a significant step, and I could see her trying. But still, I was cautious. I didn't want to place my trust back in her too quickly, fearful of being hurt again. One evening, while sharing dinner, she turned to me with a serious expression. "I know I messed up. I want you to know how much I regret my actions. I never wanted to hurt you. I've realized how much I took you for granted, and I swear I'll do everything to make it right." Hearing her sincerity was moving, but it was also terrifying. I felt the walls I had built around my heart beginning to crack, but I still felt like I was standing on shaky ground. "I appreciate you saying that, Ashley, but it's going to take time. I need to see that you're genuinely committed to making this work," I said, my voice steady. "I understand. I'm in this for the long haul. I love you, Mark, and I want to prove it," she replied, her voice thick with emotion. As we continued navigating this difficult path, I couldn't help but wonder how long it would take for me to forgive her fully. I realized that while I was willing to try to heal the wounds, I was still grappling with the scars that would remain. The journey ahead was uncertain, and I knew that I had to hold on to my own sense of self amid the chaos. But deep down, I hoped that we could find our way back to each other. I wanted to believe in the possibility of a brighter future, one where trust could be rebuilt and love could flourish again. And while it wouldn't be easy, I was beginning to think that maybe, just maybe, we still had a chance. As the weeks turned into months, Ashley and I continued our journey of rebuilding our relationship. The road was far from easy. There were days filled with progress and hope, followed by moments of doubt and anxiety. But through it all, I learned the importance of patience and the necessity of healing, both individually and as a couple. In therapy, we dug deep into the root of our issues. Ashley talked about her feelings of being overwhelmed at work, the pressures that had driven her to seek validation outside our marriage. I shared my feelings of neglect and betrayal and how they had shaken my foundation. This openness began to foster a sense of understanding between us, something I thought we had lost forever. One evening, we sat across from each other in the therapist's office, our hands intertwined. Gesture that felt foreign yet comforting. "I know I've made mistakes," Ashley said, her voice trembling slightly, "but I've learned so much about myself through this process. I realized how much I need to communicate with you to let you in instead of shutting you out." "I appreciate you saying that," I replied, squeezing her hand gently. "I really want us to work on being more open with each other. I don't want secrets or lies between us anymore. We both deserve better." That therapy session marked a turning point for us. From that day forward, we made a commitment to check in with each other regularly, about our feelings, our needs, and any worries that might bubble up. It became a ritual, a safe space where we could both be vulnerable without fear of judgment. As time passed, I began to feel the tension of betrayal lift slowly, like a fog dissipating after a storm. Trust was still fragile, but I could see small signs of real growth in Ashley. She made an effort to prioritize our relationship, surprising me with thoughtful gestures, like planning date nights or simply leaving sweet notes for me to find. Around the house, it made me smile and reminded me of the love we once shared. One night as we sat together on the couch, I turned to her, feeling a sense of hope swelling inside me. "You know, I wasn't sure we could make it through this. I thought we were broken beyond repair," I admitted, my heart feeling lighter. Ashley's eyes softened as she looked at me. "I felt that way too, but I believe we're stronger for having gone through it. I've learned not to take you for granted, and I want to be a better partner for you." "I want that too," I replied, feeling a warmth spreading through me. "I know we still have work to do, but I'm willing to put in the effort if you are." With each passing day, I felt more confident in our ability to forge a new path forward. But I also understood that the scars would always be there, reminders of what we had fought to overcome. One evening, as we prepared dinner together, I realized just how far we had come. We laughed and danced around the kitchen, the joyful energy filling the air. It felt like a distant memory of the couple we used to be, but now there was an added depth to our connection, forged through adversity. That night, as I lay in bed beside Ashley, I turned to her and whispered, "I love you." "I love you too, Mark," she replied, and I could hear the sincerity in her voice. "I'm so grateful we're still together. I don't want to lose you again." As I drifted off to sleep, I felt a sense of peace wash over me. I knew that while the journey ahead would never be perfect, we had the tools to navigate our relationship with honesty and trust. I had learned the importance of communication and the need for both partners to feel valued and heard. Looking back on everything that had happened, I realized that this experience had reshaped me. I had learned that love is not just about the good times. It's also about facing the storms together and emerging stronger on the other side. And while I could never forget the pain of betrayal, I could also see it as a catalyst for growth, personal growth and growth as a couple. By choosing to confront our issues head-on, we had forged a new bond, one built on resilience and the understanding that love, when nurtured, can endure even the toughest trials. So, as I lay there holding Ashley in my arms, I felt a renewed sense of hope for the future. We had weathered the storm, and together, we were ready to embrace whatever came next. Life wouldn't be without challenges, but I knew that as long as we faced them together, we would be okay.